guys, I am your host Ronan Time HD on this edition of the super special extravaganza Javi favorite films of all time edition of Off the Shelf. We watched The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, a 1920 silent German expressionist film. So basically, this film, as I said earlier, it's a silent film, which does mean that there's no dialogue. Well, there is, but it's with, like, little cards. But there is a really great soundtrack on this Blu-ray of, like, an orchestra with a piano, and I think the soundtrack really adds to the film. I did enjoy this film. I enjoyed this film. Alright, I really enjoyed this film, and I think I liked it because of how the sets are great, by the way. The sets are really weird and very artsy. Like, the doors, one of the doors in, like, the insane asylum at the end of the movie is a fucking it's a fucking triangle. Like, it's zoot, 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 zoot. Like, it's the weirdest thing. It's not even, like, a perfect triangle. It's like, it's a kind of slanted, like, it's so weird. And, like, sometimes they'll, I don't know, the sets are very great and interesting to me because of how strange they look. It looks almost kind of like a book, like a comic book. Say, like, kind of like a weird experimental, like, comic book. Like, yeah, I mean, not a comic book, more like a painting. And I really like that. Some people might not like it, but I do. I really like the weird, because there's actually, like, a police station. Like, all the chairs and stools in this, for some reason, are, like, up to here. Like, the chairs are huge, and I don't understand why. I guess it's just, like, a stylistic thing. And then, like, there's even, like, a police station they go to. Like, the big-ass stools are there where the cops are on, and there's, like, an elevated part where they're, like the elevated ground, and there's, like, papers on the ground, right, because it's, like, a police station. The papers, like, they're real, by the way. They're not, like, part of the ground. They're not, like, a pattern. They're, like, actual paper. Like, they like, bend. They're, like, on the elevated space, and they bend onto the ground. Like, it's super weird, but I love it. I really love the sets, and I love how they look. I think the story, it's very simplistic. It's not very complex, but I do like it. It's a very early, very, very early example of a horror film. I think this even came out before Nosferatu. Nosferatu came out in 1921 or around that time, but this film did come out before Nosferatu. And also, the film looks great for the time period it came out in. Like, the negative is just great. Like, it looks really good, and it really just kind of is so weird that it looks better than a lot of films from the 70s and 60s. To me, that's just kind of weird. It's like, also the publisher did, like, a thing where, like, they color in. Like, the colorization is with the original film. Like, basically what they did with the frames, they didn't just have it be completely black and white. With newer releases, it's like that, but in the original release that was released in theaters, was it? Yeah. That was, like, released in the original theater. Like, not the original theater, but, like, you know what I mean. But, like, originally released back 100 years ago, like, over 100 years ago, it's, like, colored in. Like, the frames are colored in, like, in post. And they, like, have, there's, like, when it's nighttime, it's blue. When the lights are on, it's, like, orange. It's daytime, it's yellow. There's some pink in there. Green occasionally. Usually with the title cards, like the little title cards. And, it's mainly, like, I think it's more of, like, just an art piece, you know? It's more, like, really artsy, and that's mainly why I like it a lot. Like, I love artsy films, and in this film was very artsy especially. So, I tend to like those films a lot more than your average flick. Like, especially artsy horror films. Because I think they're just, like, more weird, and I like more weird movies. And this movie is pretty weird. Not just visually, but also kind of, like, conceptually, I would say. And talking about the story, there is a bit of a twist ending that I'm just gonna say. It's over 100 years old. If you want to see it, just watch it. That basically it says, or at least it implies, that the main character we've been following throughout the whole film is actually crazy, and none of it happened, and it was all in his head. It was just a delusion from his own, like, crazy head. And that Dr. Caligari was actually just the insane asylum's director, and he never murdered anybody with a somnambulist. But it also just it's like, maybe he was. Maybe they're just trying to make him look crazy. So, like, it kind of leaves it up to interpretation, which I like. I usually like when endings leave it up to interpretation. But I do really like it. I really like it. It's great. I don't know if it's one of the greatest films of all time, though. You know, I don't know. Javi, I'm sorry, man, but I don't know if this is one of the greatest films of all time. It is really solid. I think it's really great, especially for when it came out. Very artsy, I like it. But I don't know if it's one of my favorites or one of the greatest films of all time. But it is very, very enjoyable, I would say. It's very, very good and enjoyable. I think I've said my piece, and I think I should give it a rating. You know, I think I'd rate this film like a 7.5 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. Good movie. Is good. I think this is the first silent film I've ever seen. I think I would recommend this film to people that haven't seen silent films before, because it's not, like, that hard, and it's very short. You know, it's very short, so you could just watch it in, like, a short time. Because, you know, it's only an hour and 12 minutes. So, I would find it easy to recommend for people that are interested in its, like, genre of silent film. I would recommend it. So, guys, I think that wraps up part 2 of the special super duper extravaganza edition of the Javi favorite films of all time edition, off the shelf. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you liked it. Subscribe, turn those notifications on, share with your friends, and oh shit, what are other good silent films? Have you seen any other good silent films? Leave them down in the comments. Yeah, I've been running Time HD and signing off. So don't forget to come back for part 3 of Off the Shelf Javi Favorite Films of All Time edition. See you there, hopefully. Bye. Yeah!